Hey y'all, it's Andy here, and I have decided to make the spring zodiac shift readings entirely free this season. I don't want there to be any paywall between us when the astrology is so wild this spring. So the shift readings for all zodiac signs for the spring season will be posted in their entirety here on YouTube and on my website, unseenhintstarot.com. You can access them either place. Now, these readings are meant to carry you through the entire spring season. So it's one reading for the whole spring. It drops at the spring equinox. I recommend watching it at the beginning of the season so you can kind of get an idea of the themes that might be showing up for your sun, moon, rising, perfection sign, Venus, maybe, since Venus is going retrograde, whatever you're tracking in your own astrology chart this season. Find the corresponding reading, watch it at the beginning of the season to get a little preview as to what your spring shift might be. And then midway through the season, maybe around April, check back in with the reading, rewatch it, because you'll be able to bring your lived experience of the actual spring, however it's playing out in your life, to that reading, and I guarantee it's going to hit different. And then at the end of the season, you'll look back and watch the readings one more time to connect the dots as to how you have actually shifted throughout the season and get that beautiful hindsight magic. It really is the best part. Okay. So happy spring. It is my gift to you, and enjoy the shifts. Okay, Virgo, this is your spring 2025 shapeshift reading where we look at the shape you're shifting out of, the shape you're shifting into, and what that shapeshift looks and feels like for the spring season. Let's get into your cards. We are using the Queer Tarot, the Slow Holler Tarot, and a little bit of Poesis Oracle at the end. Okay, starting with the Queer Tarot here. Show us the shape shift for Virgo this spring. I imagine it'll be pretty personal for you, Virgo. This is the first eclipse in Virgo on the Pisces-Virgo axis that we will have over the next roughly 2 years. Is happening this spring in March. So things should get pretty interesting for you. Among like Mercury, Venus retrograde in Aries and Pisces. There's actually so much going on. Okay. Show us the shape Virgo is shifting out of this spring. Oh, wow. Okay, shifting out of the Six of Pentacles. So shifting out of a time focusing on equity or focusing on like equal distribution of labor or tasks or like equity in pay, something like that. This is like maybe showing you as the mediator in some way. Okay, interesting. Let's see how this is. And you're holding the Libra scale. So this has something to do with your Libra part of your chart as well, or like your Libran qualities. Okay, the shape Virgo is shifting into this spring. Trying to find the balance in the material world is the Six of Pentacles. Oh wow, it's shifting into the Knight of Cups. So there could be just a shift from like focusing on maintaining the balance of the everyday tasks and like trying to find some sort of even financial equilibrium with the Six of Pentacles to a more like emotional, romantic, artistic focus. Away from this like mediating position, Virgo, of like constantly trying to maintain and find homeostasis, whether that be like in your bank accounts or on the daily chore list or on like just even a work-life balance. Because what we're seeing here is someone who has resources and who is able to sort of like be the determiner of what the balance is. And then these ones down here that are sort of like, please share your resources. Please give me your resources. And I just see you, Virgo, as being here in this position to be able to sort of like delegate or divvy out those, and like the one who decides what is balanced and what isn't. And then like, this is a really honestly big shift for you, Virgo, towards someone that's not thinking about that stuff at all. The Knight of Cups has completely turned away from that focus and is just like completely focused on romancing their life, romancing their loved ones, romancing their living space. Like, okay, screw all of like the mincing of keeping everything balanced all the time. Like, I want to read poetry, you know? It's actually like quite a Virgo to Pisces shift, an earth to water shift. So all of this activity that's been moving from Pisces into Aries, and then at the end of the year, we'll move back into Pisces. Like there's a lot of focus right now on that Piscean, watery vibe. Like the Knight of Cups just wants to vibe, just wants it to feel good, wants there to be more of an organic flow to things, and like wants to sing, you know, like to hear and listen to the music of being alive, and to move forward from more of like maybe like I'm almost getting like a shift in values, Virgo, from well, things have to be materially balanced. Like things have to be this. If I do this, then you do that. Or if this happens, then that has to happen in response, because the scales must always be balanced. This sort of like almost OCD, or like just you know, take that if that is a specific thing for you, but like more of just like a need for things to be exact and specifically equal. Almost maybe to sort of like an over focus on that for some folks, to a much more free flowing space where like you're not valuing that material realm as much as you're valuing the emotional, spiritual value system of like, you know what, I'm kind of done just like constantly keeping those scales balanced, because that micro focus was getting really intense for me. I'm gonna zoom out and just like try to listen to my heart again, Knight of Cups, and feel into like, how would I move forward with this, whatever this is for you? And it probably will be many thises throughout the season. But it's like, okay, how would I move forward from this if I just moved from my heart? If I wasn't like constantly worried about that material balancing act? Because the Knight of Cups, bare-chested out here in the world, just wants to move from that heart space, from that spirit space. Moving from the practical to the spiritual. Interesting. Okay, so what does that shapeshift look and feel like for Virgo this spring? These cards are so slippy. They're cool though, right? I like them. Okay, what does this look and feel like for Virgo to shift from Six of Pentacles to Knight of Cups? Yeah, it almost wanted to be King of Cups, which talks about just like finding more emotional equilibrium and maturity, and like moving to the next sort of level of maturity internally. Maybe we'll take it, but I feel like there's another card. Whoa, Justice. Holy crap. Okay, wasn't expecting that. Cool, shapeshift, holy crap, let's look at it together. I mean, like, even just the color palettes of the cards and the way that they're so seamlessly flowing into one another. The Six of Pentacles and the Justice are absolutely in the same universe. They're both on this like black and white tile floor. They both have the hot pink background. They're both holding the scales. So again, your Libra house is so important here. The Libra part of your chart. And just this like focus on justice, balance, correction, like things, whatever has been imbalanced needs to be imbalanced. That's this like justice idea of like, just this really strong focus on like things have been out of balance, and you sort of taking on the role of justice and becoming the corrector is a very Virgo vibe. You know, like where I see injustice or imbalance, I will enact justice or correction. Sort of taking that role upon yourself. And then there's this really different transition this spring into actually leaning back, which I think could be really refreshing, Virgo, to then like see how the King and Knight of Cups are leaned back. They are pulling their energy back into themselves. Who else just, I think Leo just got the King of Cups in a very similar way. Where it's like, okay, maybe you're starting to realize you can relax. Like maybe all of this Pisces energy this spring, including the Venus and Mercury retrogrades that will go from Aries back into Pisces. And like so many planets also, Saturn and Neptune both sort of graduating from their time in Pisces and moving into Aries for most of the year anyway. They still have some unfinished business to attend to there, but it feels to me like there's this like graduation that is happening in the Pisces area of your chart where you're actually, you've learned something there and you're starting to lean into what is perhaps your opposite energy. Virgo is opposite from Pisces in the zodiac wheel, and we see a really sort of opposite day shift here from, again, a focus on maintaining that balance in the idea of balance and homeostasis and justice, and needing to see it, like needing to see the receipts, needing to see the proof of that in the material realm with the Six of Pentacles, and then just like totally shifting away from that. Okay, like, cool, I can trust that the material realm is balanced and will balance itself. Or maybe you've sort of accomplished it, Virgo, and it's time now to focus more on the inner realm. Now, hold on, what about my emotional balance? What about my spiritual balance, my philosophical balance? Like, right. Okay, like how can I let that internal part of myself relax? Even though in the background of the King of Cups, the seas are still choppy. Okay, really cool shapeshifts so far, Virgo. So let's get into this now with the Slow Holler Tarot. I love this deck. Oh, a really cool collaboration from different queer artists in the South that is out of print, sadly, but I feel so lucky to have a copy of it. Okay. So let's actually just start with this Six of Pentacles Justice. What is this like obsession with equilibrium? And I say obsession, like please take it how it resonates for you. If that seems like too strong of a word, then it probably is. Maybe it isn't for someone else. But if it's too strong of a word for you, then like take that. Okay, we got Seven of Stones. Yeah, exactly. Like I keep seeing this card, especially in this round of readings that's coming out quite a lot, as like needing to perfectly place the stones in this very like balanced web of network here. this balanced web, this balanced network, like needing it to all sort of fall into place so that there is this like spell cast for a certain result, which I think that result would be like balance, equilibrium, equality, equity in terms of your pay, in terms of, again, like work-life balance, whatever that is for you. The Seven of Stones also talks about being, having patience, thinking about the long term, and like sort of needing to move through a period of stasis to be able to accumulate something worth harvesting. Like the traditional card in the tarot shows someone like who has clearly been growing something, like a plant that is starting to fruit, but they're just like, they've got their rake or their hoe and they're just like waiting and staring at it, waiting for the time when they can actually reap that harvest. Okay, so that's sort of interesting. All right. I just kind of got like, you may have reached whatever form of balance and homeostasis that you can possibly reach right now. Like this is it's almost like the Seven of Stones is saying, okay, you did it for now. You can go no further at this point. Now you just have to let it grow. You know, like you have to let it accumulate. You have to just you've planted the seeds. You've tilled the soil. It's nutrient dense. Like you did it, Virgo. Now step back. King of Cups, Knight of Cups, lean back. Step back and let it do its thing. You've done all you can do up to this point, maybe. Okay, what else can we get for Justice and Six of Pentacles? Whoa, wow. Oh, the Storm in reverse, that's nice. So maybe actually things have been sort of stormy in your financial experience or in like experience of trying to balance work life, something like that. Chores in the home, like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like things like this. The material realm has been a bit of a shitstorm maybe for some time. And the fact that it's coming out in reverse is pretty interesting, especially since like we're heading into actually what I and many other astrologers are looking at the astrology of the spring and seeing a storm, like a total shitstorm. So it's interesting because like collectively, I think this is the energy that we're heading into. But for you, Virgo, maybe the focus that you've been putting in or are like heavily focused on at the beginning of the season of just like, I need to find some sort of homeostasis and balance in to get ahead of this storm that is coming, that you probably know is coming. So the fact that it's coming out in reverse is sort of, and especially with the Seven of Stones, is just showing me like finding equilibrium, finding the center of that storm, maintaining like steadiness through the ups and downs of the storm, which is very King of Cups also. The seas are rocky in the background and the King of Cups is chilling, is maintaining center. It's almost like you've just sort of been living through the ups and downs of a storm vibe for some time. And so you kind of had to come in and regain control with the balancing of the scales and be like, okay, hold on. I need to rein this in. I need to figure this out. This has to come back into a closer balance from where it was. And you may have gone real hard into that focus recently and been able to sort of, Seven of Stones, stabilize that rocky storm energy. Six of Stones, the Kindred, yeah, interesting. Empress. Empress wants to be the transition, because she's actually showing me, this Empress energy is showing me that it's between, it's like the clarifying card for both sides of this shape shift for you. The Empress wants that Six of Pentacles, equity, fairness, and balance. To me, the Empress is very much Venus energy. And Venus going retrograde this season is incredibly significant, especially starting off in Aries. She is willing to fight for areas where she perceives there to be an imbalance, and willing to fight for more harmony, willing to fight for more connection with your kindred, willing to fight for perhaps like a more peaceful inner and outer experience. So Empress is very much concerned with the material world and how like fair and harmonious and balanced that material experience is, because she ultimately wants you to be able to relax in your home with your loved ones and your family and like enjoy your experience. You know, that's really what we're seeing in this card, is like the bears are hibernating, the cow is chilling, they're in this outdoor kitchen space that looks like just incredibly homey and comfortable and familial. The sort of like ultimate experience of that beautiful country life is that Empress, that kindred vibe. This is coming out for a lot of folks too, by the way. The Seven of Stones and the kindred, like needing to just sort of stabilize everything for the sake of the family, or for the sake of the familial, relying on your familial or very close kindred type connections to sort of like stabilize and ground you through whatever external stuff is going to happen on the larger world stage. This is like wanting to bring it in and create a much more stable and beautiful home space in which you can like more artfully live your life. And I think that's why she's the transition into the King and Knight of Cups, because ultimately Venus, who I see as an embodiment of that kindred, that Empress energy, wants beauty. She wants you to experience harmonious connections between you and other people, but also like with your very life. She wants you to see how romantic it is to be alive, how poetic, how incredible it is to be here. And you can't do that when you are constantly feeling the inequities and the imbalance of everything around you in your life. So it's quite possible that there is something this spring that needs to find a greater homeostasis in your material world. And maybe it's already done that, in order for you to then like relax again and be able to enjoy your life and be able to be like, okay, I feel like I have time to connect with my loved ones, to connect with my home space, to be here with my animals, to just like remember that I get to enjoy my time here on this earth and I don't have to be constantly focusing on finding that balance. Okay. These clarifying cards are just flowing, so let's just see what else wants to come through. Yeah, Two of Stones, perfect. Another image of balance, of finding the balance, maintaining the balance, and then like this butterfly lands and could be something as light as that could just like so delicately upset this like precarious balance. So maybe this is telling us a little bit about like your current work-life balance situation is actually so tenuous that even something so small, just one little light extra thing on your plate tips the scales, and you're like, I'm done. I'm out, I'm not doing this. I'm out of here. I can't handle it. Like maybe it just like sets you off emotionally, or like makes you feel a kind of way about your whole life. I don't know. Like there's something sort of, the storm indicates that things have been triggering. Okay. They've been, easily upset as of late. And the Seven of Stones is trying to find this like stability, constancy, so that like the energy isn't so volatile. And like so much of that has been the astrology, let's be real. Like we're coming off the Mars retrograde in Cancer and Leo. It's been just so heated, so unnecessarily heated, and so it makes sense that even just like the most delicate thing can totally like shift those scales for you. And that maybe you feel like you're just like barely balancing everything on like the one end of your finger, and that I just keep getting this like feeling like you have to do it all, and like, yeah, that sense of responsibility of maintaining the balance being a little much, or being a little just like too much. So that even when something as beautiful as this butterfly, that beauty comes your way, it's like you can barely appreciate it, because all you're worried about is whether that butterfly would tip the scales or not, Trying to maintain this very delicate balance. Okay, so then I feel like we're getting some repeating messages here. 2 of Stones, 6 of Stones, Justice, 7 of Stones. Like it's all kind of the same idea. We get it. You've been trying to balance. Oh, okay, thanks. We're seeing a flower blooming and a flower shriveling and dying. And that is very much the experience in January of the North and South Node shifting into your sign. So the South Node shifted into Virgo, the North Node shifted into Pisces. And of course, actually that would explain this entire reading. So thanks for that. Kind of like obvious moment in retrospect. But the North Node is the head of the dragon. It is the hunger. It is the thing that wants to bloom, to open up, to increase, to intake more things into your body and into your experience. Whereas the South Node is the tail of the dragon. It's the end that lets things go, that passes things out of your experience. And so the fact that the South Node is moving into Virgo and the shape you're shifting out of is very Virgo, and the shape you're shifting into is very Pisces, it's really indicating that like North Node energy where it will sort of pull, it can really easily pull focus to the pursuit of Piscean things, which is just like wanting to be with other people, like focusing on the inner emotional, spiritual realms, wanting to move through life with more of like a free flow, wanting to sort of feel the harmonious unity with all that is in life, and then like the poetic perspective that comes with that. Versus the South Node in Virgo, which is maybe like giving you the opportunity to release the focus on the details and release that like heavy sort of maybe obsession or emphasis on maintaining the micro movements of balance and homeostasis, and because like perhaps that has been achieved, Virgo. To whatever degree that it can be achieved right now in your life, which is of course going to be different for everyone. But it's sort of like this is like, it's like the nodes shifting into this axis of Virgo and Pisces are kicking you into step with the Pisces rhythm, which is much more irregular than your natural rhythm, perhaps, Virgo. It's much more free flow, easy, relaxing, connective, and artistic and creative and spiritual. Less of a focus on the details of the everyday life and the material world. We have all of these stones and pentacles card here, which Virgo's an earth sign, but now you're shifting into the watery realms. Okay, helpful. So even as you continue to try to maintain this homeostasis and balance, Virgo, certain things will shrivel and leave your experience and dissolve with the South Node in your sign. And it may be things that are very much like up to this point a part of your identity, since it's like Virgo itself is dissolving through that South Node experience. But there are other things that will begin to bloom and increase in your life as that happens. So that is also part of, don't forget, even as that happens, that like that give and take and that letting go in order to open yourself to something else is absolutely a balancing of the scales experience. It's like, okay, Virgo, if you want to take on more things, then you have to let go of other things because you can't hold everything. And that is such a strong, like, nodal, North Node, South Node, polarity moment. The Star. And to me, this could be like a shift in your sense of purpose, a sort of like shift in the light that guides you. There are stars in the background of the Six of Pentacles, but you can barely see them, interestingly enough, because the Pentacles take the forefront. But then as soon as we shift into both the King and Knight of Cups, the night falls and the stars become incredibly prominent. I love that for you, Virgo. So there's this sort of like shift maybe into focusing on like higher ideals, or like sort of lifting I just see you like lifting your chin up out of the micro experience of your material world, and then like looking up at the stars and remembering like the larger picture of things, which would be a very Pisces thing, and sort of refocusing that spotlight on what is actually most aligned with your value system, which could be much more, look at the color palette, much more about connection with other people, enjoying your time together, enjoying like the beautiful, allowing more beauty into your everyday experience with Empress kindred. Okay, so like, hey Virgo, you did it. You found some greater balance in maybe in your financial life in some way. Like you have more support there, so chill now. Now you can shift your focus into more of a sphere of enjoyment and like wanting to live through those values. Okay, cool. Let's keep clarifying. King of Cups, Knight of Cups for Virgo. So what does that look like? Shifting focus. Traveler of Knives is the Knight of Swords, which typically talks about sort of like a rush forward, like a really intense urgency, or like things moving very fast. In this particular card, it's really intense. There's like a pocket knife, like in a heart, and like a broken vessel that reveals a message in a bottle, and there's those like choppy seas showing up again, and then the teeth clenching down on the chain, which goes between the heart and the brain. Okay, interesting. The chain between the heart and the brain is perhaps part of this transition of like Maybe you're just realizing, because I actually just keep hearing mental health, mental health, mental health. So like maybe you're just realizing that like the over focus on the details of your life and maintaining this like perfect, this idea of perfect is a Virgo word. Perfect balance and homeostasis has become so intense that like there's this jaw tension. There's this clamp down, this like bite down. There's this bite. There's this like edge to you now, Virgo, that is sort of maybe stopping the messages, the free flow between the head and the heart, because they have to go through this tension, this like ferocity or something like that. Interesting. So it's sort of just like I see this like mouth opening, jaw opening, and just like letting the chain spill out. And then that can like let the heart relax so that the knife can fall out. And then there can be like just more of a steady flow between the head and the heart. Whoa. And that's King of Cups work. That is doing the work of understanding what's happening in your internal atmosphere and saying like, okay, my emotional life has looked a lot like this, whatever, while I've been focusing so hard on this, and it has taken a toll on me in this way. It has left me with this residual jaw tension that is sort of like coloring my experience of my everyday life. Like even when things are actually much more balanced now, tell that to my jaw, you know? Tell that to my jaw that refuses to get the message, you know, like it's not getting, there's like, the message is not, especially Virgo, as again, we move into eclipse season, we have 2 retrogrades, like the astrology of the spring is some of the most intense astrology of the year. So as the seas, the environment around us gets rockier and more sort of like intense, things kick up, that tension could clamp down. Like that could be the impulse. Whereas the King of Cups and Knight of Cups are reminding you to open up, to relax the muscles, to relax the jaw, to find now an inner homeostasis so that you can ride these waves. It's that thing of like when you're falling, you have to kind of remind yourself to go limp, because if you tense up, you're going to break everything. That's how it feels. More about the King of Cups, Knight of Cups for Virgo. Okay, the Navigator. Wow, more of that choppy sea. So we're continuing in the realm of the ocean. In the Pisces realm. I mean, the way the imagery between these 2 decks is communicating is, I'm living. It's amazing. The Navigator is the Emperor. This is Aries energy. So yes, hello. We have everything happening in Aries this spring. Neptune's moving into Aries. That's a huge shift of like a 14-year cycle. It's a major era shift for us collectively. Plus all of the Venus Mercury retrograde stuff, and then Saturn will move into Aries as well. The Navigator. Maybe this is changing your ability to kind of like step into the role of leader in your internal experience. Like step forward to the helm and steer that ship a little bit, because again, you've got this like monster jaw tension that is just like gumming up the works. Because here's the thing, it's like, okay, if you want, yeah, Hermit on the bottom of the deck, which is the Virgo card, just to further emphasize that we are talking about your inner world. And there's this actually like beautiful softness. Okay, I love this. I love this. It's like, what kind of leader would you want at the helm steering your ship? Would you want a leader with this going on inside of them? Or would you want a leader who's able to maintain this sort of inner moment, inner world, inner state? So again, it's like to sort of liberate you from the pursuit of perfection, Virgo, which all Virgos need to varying degrees. The intense focus that you have had on finding that perfection or like that balance in your outer world and like trying to stabilize your material world has maybe cost you a bit of your mental health. And now you've got this like jaw tension. So trying to apply the same sort of like obsession to now finding the homeostasis on your inner world could again just sort of sneakily lead to more jaw tension or like more internal tension. Whereas it's like, this is a different way of navigating. This is like finding homeostasis in your emotional, spiritual realm is much more of a letting go moment. South node in your sign. It's much more of a, I see the hermit here as like sitting in like candle meditation, just like, I am watching the flames. I am letting the choppy seas like roll through. I am allowing whatever experience is here to be here without like attaching them teeth, without attaching to it. Okay, that's a cool read. And cool. Both of these cards are like red. I love the color palette there. Both of these cards are red, and then the thing that's red in the sky of the navigator is like the dotted lines that are being used to navigate the seas and by the skies, by the stars. There's the stars again. Shifting your guiding light, shifting how you're navigating, shifting like the values from which you are living your life. Okay, cool. Love that. That means like, are you going to navigate this way? Is that aligned with your values? Or are you going to navigate this way? Like, again, you know, this is really a perfect conversation for a Venus retrograde, because it is like, Venus retrograde will ask you, are you aligned with your values? Or like, just what do you value? And it can be a time when you call into question like what your values actually are. And maybe this season you realize that your values are actually to chill, to like soften, to let your muscles relax, to let your heart open. And so in order to start to navigate by those values, you do have to let go of some tension that you've maybe been holding. Some stress, some mental, emotional intensity that you've been kind of like experiencing or bringing to the table here. Okay, this is feeling supremely complete, but I do want to say that the Two of Swords is at the bottom of the deck, which is a Libra moon card. And since we've gotten so many Libra images here, again, here we see that sort of like arms and knives crossed over the heart in the storm, like defensiveness. Feeling the need to kind of like, that tension may have been protective for you, Virgo. It may have been there to help guard you, maybe like through some difficult experiences. But now there's this like shift from like, don't come in here, I'm doing something, or like, don't come in here, I'm working, to like, okay, hold on. That's not how I want, because maybe this has left you sort of in a stalemate space of realizing like, okay, I can't actually go any further with this energy. I just keep seeing images of like all the muscles tightening. All the muscles tightening, and when all the muscles tighten, they do reach a point where they can tighten no further. And then you most likely have like a nervous system reaction or like a nervous system response where your body then has to just like tremor in order to release. And that could be an experience that you have this spring, is like getting so tense and worked up by things in your life and things outside of you that are going on, storm, that you actually get to like a big release moment, emotional release moment. And usually if you've ever done like tremor work, it's like a specific type of body work, you do actually tighten your muscles and you sort of like hold them in this very specific like place of tightness, and you do hold it there until they start to tremor, like you're purposefully trying to induce the tremor so that you can induce the release. And then the tremor can like start like a quake, and then it can kind of get like whoa, and then like boom boom boom, you know, like the reverb through the body starts to get like bigger and bigger. And then like, you know, even if it can start like in your inner thighs, for example, and then it can just like take over your entire body. And before you know it, you're just like tremoring, and it can be an incredible emotional release, Virgo. And honestly, it's like, that's a read of these cards. That is a totally valid read of these cards. I feel like we need one more card. This reading is long. But we need one more for the King and Knight of Cups. No, too many, Virgo. Although, yeah, I think it is this. Three of Branches was on the bottom of that little packet that came out. Three of Wands is, and when I saw it, I heard opening you up to a different future. Opening up your vision for what is possible. And I think it's been this like thorny part of the journey for some time. And perhaps now with the nodes shifting into your sign, you're at this turning point where like it's another pivot. It's another turn in the bend. Or actually, Virgo, things could get quite good in some ways. I don't know, like what if the thorny stuff in your journey is actually over and you don't have to be so tight? You know? What if things are actually starting to bud and now actually you're looking for what you're looking for forward to now is the bloom stage, and you can relax into that and let it happen. Maybe. Okay. I want to finish your reading with some advice cards from the Poesis Oracle. Are you kidding? A whole thing just flipped out. And we got Soften. Which, yes, is exactly this reading. We even have the candle from the Hermit showing up. Soften, if I could sum up this reading in one word, it would be soften. Let your muscles melt. Let your insides melt. Soften into a more receptive experience with others, of like your daily life, so that like even just like your daily like things that you have to do around the house aren't so like you're not approaching them from this like furrowed brow. I just noticed like my brow was furrowing so much, like, okay, I have to wash the dishes and I have to do my laundry and I have to do this and I have to, you know, it's like, whoa, soften, soften, soften. What if it's just, okay, we flow through these things. We just flow through these things. Maybe you need to dance a little bit. I don't know, you gotta loosen up. Loosen up. Okay, for sure change. I mean, come on. Eclipses are major, like we are going to experience the things that happen this spring will likely be the seeds of change that we see collectively for like years to come, you know? So yeah, for sure change is here. And the way, again, that you navigate those changes is softening, not rigidity. Not becoming more and more rigid. Okay, the thing that just fell out is breathe. Gorgeous, exactly. So that's what I'm talking about. Let's look at this together. The whole thing. Virgo. For God's sake, honey. Okay. And I'm talking to myself, you know that, right? I have a giant Virgo stellium. Okay, yes. Let's start over here. Actually, let's start in the center. Because again, this reading is a major shift in your value system. And like the spotlight shifts essentially with the star. The light that is guiding you shifts towards the kindred, which is being at ease and connection with others and being able to flow through your home life with sweetness and comfort and familial vibes. It is like, yeah, sure, like things can get a little messy, but it's sweet because we just had a nice dinner. We just had a great party. Like, it's okay, you know? It's very loving. It's very nurturing. It's very like an experience of ease through your daily life seems to be the focus that we are moving towards now that you're shifting out of this intense focus on achieving some sort of balance in your material realm, because maybe your finances or whatever have been pretty out of balance for some time. But that maybe that storm is, and that particular storm is ending this spring. You are finding more of a balance so that you are less like constantly in a triggered state, because this speaks to me of being just in survival mode. And when you're just trying to survive, you can't think of like, it's much harder to think of like poetry and beauty and like connecting with others and just like living this really beautiful life, because you're like, what do you mean I can't pay my rent? You know, it's like that kind of thing. And so I think the balance is becoming much less precarious in some ways in your life. With the Seven of Stones, there is this spell for stability that may come in this spring. But then with that, then you get to this point where you kind of start remembering like, okay, right, now that I'm more stable, or now that something is more balanced and equitable, I can relax now. Now I want to focus on my internal experience and bring my focus to like softening myself. I need to soften, because the storm is going to keep raging outside of me. That collective storm ain't going anywhere. And if anything this spring, it's going to intensify. And so knowing that, Virgo, like, hi, hello, we know that ahead of time. You can, Virgo, plan for that by softening, like starting to maybe even like work with yourself somatically, or work with a somatic practitioner, even if you have the means to do that, to start, or just like find free YouTube videos, you know what I mean? Like YouTube University. If you need recommendations, reach out to me, for God's sake. I used to be a body worker, all right? So like, I'll give you a ton of recommendations, but it's like working with your body, mind, spirit, emotions to start to soften so that you have more space and room to breathe in your life. Look at the beautiful breathe card with that butterfly and the birds and the flowers. It feels like an echo to the Two of Stones, with like the butterfly lands on your delicate balance and you're no longer in panic mode that this like thing is going to come in and totally screw your whole perfect thing up. Instead, like the butterfly visits and tips your scales and you go with that flow. Because somehow you have more room to breathe, and you're finding and giving yourself more room to breathe. And when you have more room to breathe and you are softer in general, you're able to roll with those changes, because Traveler of Knives, Navigator, these are choppy, King of Cups. These are choppy seas. And the journey forward, Three of Branches, Navigator, will continue probably collectively to be choppy seas. And so the best advice for times such as these is to learn how to enjoy your life. That's it. Like, that's this reading, is to loosen up, to learn how to enjoy your experience, to find the greater spiritual values that are within you and start living by them, which means letting go of unnecessary intensity and tension and bite, frankly, and defensiveness and feeling blocked off, but rather opening yourself, opening your heart to other people, opening yourself to your own internal experience and spiritual practices, opening yourself up to the possibilities that things actually could be blooming in your life, even as everything around you looks like kind of a dumpster fire. And that you can maintain that steady inner emotional spiritual self because you have lifted your chin up out of this earth experience to align with the stars, to align with something higher that gives you that perspective so that inside you can find peace. You can find a more peaceful experience. Wow. Okay, woohoo. I mean, you have an eclipse in your sign this fall, so I'm not surprised that this reading is lengthy and is bringing the intensity, but I do hope it helps, and I hope it helps you loosen up and go with that flow through the ups and downs of that eclipse cycle as it begins for you this spring. Okay, Virgo, if you want to get with me for a personal reading to see how this is impacting your life and experience, you know where to find me. Happy spring.